Since overthrowing President Assad's regime, Syria's new authorities have been working to establish their control over the country, but that's brought them into conflict in areas dominated by the Alawite sect, the group from which President Assad drew much of his support. Fighting recently broke out with dozens of casualties, in particular around an Alawite village south of Latakia. Well, our correspondent Lina Sonja got exclusive access to the area, and just to warn you that Lina's report does contain images that you may find distressing. A village in grief, a vigil for the dead, a family in mourning. This Alawite household lost 4 of its members, including their son, 20-year-old Habib. They belong to the same sect of former President Bashar al-Assad. They are surrounding us. Bullets surround us. Pray for me, mother. They entered the home. They killed him. Fighters belonging to the new government took revenge for the killing of hundreds of their soldiers by remnants of the old regime. Retaliation was indiscriminate. Habib's father, Mana, is in his mid-60s, a retired army officer. He doesn't want his face shown, fearing for his safety yesterday. I went alone to bring him from the hospital with his aunt. The olive grove is now a cemetery. We are Alites, and the previous president was also Alawite, but we didn't like him because he was a bad person and he wasn't worth of being a president. But the ones who came after are meaner and crueler in a nearby village. Another massacre. The White Helmets, a local civil defense group, took us to the scene. 10 bodies were found this time. It was government security officers who had been murdered. They appeared to have been executed, their hands bound behind their backs, their legs tied. Saber is a government security officer. He explained the attacks against the Allos. We tried hard to keep everything under control to unite Syria, but honestly, the betrayal that we felt from remnants of the Assad regime made these factions angry. Our official forces were killed in the coastal region, which made us lose control of the area. The officer tells me they have already arrested some of the perpetrators. The factions left their marks everywhere. Houses and businesses burned and destroyed. This is Al-Qusur neighborhood in the heart of Banas, where most of the killing took place. People talk about a bloodbath against the Alawite. It is deserted, and those who stayed behind are too scared to speak their mind. The fear is the country is entering an endless cycle of revenge. The JA. Their family escaped minutes before government forces set fire to their house. All they owned reduced to ashes. I don't want anything, just my soul and soul of my children. We've got nothing to do with anything. Can you tell me what happened? What do you want as a young boy? I want just to leave. I want just to continue my studying at university. You want to stay in Syria? Do you feel that there is a future for you? There's no, but I have to stay here. If this government wants to prevent a new civil war, they must prove they can protect the Allos and the rights of all citizens in the new Syria. Lina Sonja, BBC News, Bas, Syria. Well, Lina then returns to the Syrian capital, Damascus, and I was able to ask her just how the interim government is delivering on its promise to protect civilians. Well, there are lots of actions that have been taken. A public statement by the interim president, a committee that has been formed to investigate the killing. Some members of these factions have already been arrested, as the security officer told us in this package. But I think the challenge is really huge because although the government has control over its security forces, but the defense forces, where many of the factions joined, they seem to be losing control over them. And these are the ones who've entered the Alawite villages, taking revenge and really indiscriminate killing against, families, even being safe in their own homes, have been killed. There are also the foreign fighters who are on board, and there are also other uncontrolled civilians who have weapons who took part in this killing. Really, the challenge is really huge, not only to protect the elites, but to provide safety for the whole country, all minorities, and to prevent any of these jihadist ideologies to be in charge of people's lives here. Lina, obviously international concern is strong on this. An EU conference is taking place in support of Syria. What do we hope to expect? This is the first time Syria is represented in this conference that's been designed over the past 9 years to help the Syrian community. abroad and inside, where it's possible this is the first time after the fall of Assad. Of course, the government represented by the foreign minister Assad Shabani is going to focus on aid. Oh, on financial aid to help the country stand on its feet. Again, it's a country devastated by war, 90% of the population under the poverty line, and many cities lie in ruins, and they need to be rebuilt. But there will be a big question for them because the donor countries are also concerned about how this government is going to be inclusive of all the society. We're expecting a transitional government to be announced sometimes this week. So everyone is watching how this will be representative of the minorities of women's rights. And that will reflect the demands of, Syrians who want a democracy in the country. Oh, thanks to Lina Sonja there, reporting, speaking to me from the Syrian capital, Damascus. Much more on all of our stories on our website, but